once you become aware of it, you are going to keep on paying attention to it. And the overall message, in a very simplified way, is this is either a life form in and of itself, or much more likely, a conscious light ship or spacecraft that belongs to a civilization from another place outside of our solar system. So this is the primary thing, is like, is there life, conscious life outside? Yes, there is.
Welcome to New Earth Podcast, where we dive into inspiring stories, profound wisdom, and insights from remarkable individuals who are driving the consciousness shift on our planet. If you're ready to elevate your awareness and well-being, you're in the right place. But before we dive into today's episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Together, we'll continue to explore the ideas and conversations that help you up-level your consciousness. Thank you so much for your support and your comments, and for being part of this journey. Hello and welcome to New Earth Co-Creators. Today, we're delighted to welcome back the lovely Solara An-Ra, channel and author and channeler for the Star Councils of Light. We've just been having a bunch of technical stuff, which seems to be happening at the moment. So be interesting to see if that comes into the conversation today. There's a lovely conversation with Solara from a few months ago about how the chakras are changing and higher self-embodiment. So I'm also going to put the links to that in the video description underneath. But today we're going to be focusing on the cosmic mystery of 3I Atlas, a visitor that's entering our solar system, and what that means for the awakening of humanity. So stay tuned, because Solara's also going to be doing a live channeling on the higher purpose of 3I Atlas as well. So welcome, Solara. Beautiful to have you on today.
Thank you so much, dear Sarah. Thank you so much for your wonderful work and your dedication towards Gaia and Light Tribe. And I'm thrilled to be here. And it's interesting when you talk about the last interview and the awakening of the chakras. And I remember a focus on the new solar plexus chakra. That seems like so long ago. That seems like another reality. I'm like, at the moment, the energies are so strong. And I mean, today we're with the full moon as well. So the super full moon, 3I Atlas, the solar flares, the stuff that's going on right now brings you into the now moment. It's like I can't focus on anything else. And I'm also aware that where there are challenges, so this challenge to starting this interview was just that my computer, my new computer, wouldn't work properly, in as far as I couldn't hear Sarah. And there is a certain element of absolute determination needed when you know that something has to get out there. It's like we were not going to let it go. We were going to try this solution, that solution. In the end, I went back into my old computer, and we both just silently had this complete determination to make it work, because this transmission is happening now and it's meant to happen
It's
right now.
important. And it's interesting you mentioned the full moon, because by the time this goes out next, we'll be a week away from that. And I almost feel a little bit nervous, because things are moving so quickly. It's like, will this even be relevant in a week's time?
It will be relevant.
It will
because in this period where 3I Atlas is going to come closest to the Earth on the 19th of December, this is very relevant.
It really
and
is.
the preparation towards that, and the things that are being uncovered now, and the scientists that are having to eat their words, I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your insights on this, Solara. Before we get into 3I Atlas, though, I'd love to, because for me, Three Eye Atlas, it's a visitor from outside our solar system, which is what you're very well versed in, And so I'd like to talk about that. But first of all, I'd like to really understand what your influences were for your path as a channeler, for your path as connecting with the Pleiadians, especially.
Yeah, I have to say that although my awakening journey started with a reading from a medium and then continued with me getting almost a bit addicted to having readings with psychics and channels and trance channels, because this was my new and only source of awakening and enlightenment. Then I moved into a phase where I was channeling myself. And so, of course, my guides and particularly the Pleiadians have been the greatest awakener and driving force for everything that I do. But in terms of, let's say, teachers, most of us on the awakening path have had teachers. We've done workshops, and then there are books. And in my case, I did not meet any teachers through any workshops that ever made any difference to me, with a possible exception of learning chakra healing, this particular form of chakra healing that opened me up as a healer and had a particular effect. But the single most important influence, and I have really come back to this at the moment with Three Eye Atlas, is a Pleiadian book called The Pleiadian Agenda. And that book was massive for me. Yes, I read the Barbara Marcignac book. She had a trilogy that were also the Pleiadians being channeled. And yeah, they did help me with this and that, but nothing like the Pleiadian Agenda. And the
Barbara
reason,
Clow, is that?
yeah,
But
Barbara Hand Clow. And
yes,
I became known, not super famous, but known by a lot of people in the spiritual community through YouTube. And that path was never chosen in order to become famous or well known or then advertise things that I was doing or make money or anything like that. It was just my Pleiadian guides asking me to put this thing up and then to put that thing up. I didn't understand YouTube at all. In fact, the first time they asked me to put up a YouTube, I didn't know what YouTube was. And my kids tried to explain to me, and I thought that you had to put a video up. I didn't realize you could put a voice recording with one image up. So I made little videos. I taught myself how to use Window Movie Maker. And in the very first thing that I ever put up on YouTube, which was for the December solstice of, now I'm slightly confused about whether it was 2008 or 2009, one of the two. But in that video, I introduced myself because I thought that I kind of had to. And I made a little video, and in that video is the image of the front cover of the Pleiadian Agenda, because I was stating quite clearly I got connected to the Pleiadians through this book by this Pleiadian channel. And then more recently, the reason I say that I've become more acutely aware of that influence of Barbara Hand Clow is because suddenly I've seen her being interviewed by a lot of different people. Possibly she has carried on being interviewed all of these years and I haven't paid attention. But recently, I've seen her interviewed by Regina Meredith on the Gaia platform, by Emilia Ortez, by Heather Ensworth, by Pam Gregory, by Stefan, what's his name, the geophysicist?
but Burns, is it? No,
Burns, Stefan
yeah.
Burns. And I have just the utmost respect for her because she is a living example of a wise woman, an elder, wisdom keeper. She's now in her 80s, who is a channel who she's known as a Pleiadian channel because of the Pleiadian agenda, but she is first and foremost an astrologer and with a very intellectual, scientific mind. So, having gone through the process of channeling the Pleiadian agenda, she spent years and years researching from a scientific perspective what the Pleiadians were actually saying in that book, and particularly about the 9 dimensions, this model of the 9 dimensions that she brought through. Now, I never read the Pleiadian agenda like cover to cover, and there was stuff in there that freaked me out completely, that kept making me stop reading the book, like the stuff about the Anunnaki, which I had never heard of the Anunnaki. I didn't want to hear about, extraterrestrial lizard type beings who had this particular agenda for the earth. I wasn't ready and I couldn't take it. And there was stuff in the book. It would be interesting if I had to read it cover to cover now, how I would feel about it, because I've channeled about the Anunnaki now and I've unpacked a lot of that stuff. But let me just say what I have become aware of that was so important for me from those original channelings, and then from the unpacking that Barbara has done on a scientific level. First is the core crystal. So in that book, I read about this model that the Pleiadians were given, and bear in mind that models are given to us by higher dimensional beings according to what we can integrate or understand in that moment. And then we'll shift up, we'll have a quantum shift in our understanding and in our awakening, and then they will usually present a more complicated model. But in my book, the channel book, The Rainbow Bridge to New Earth, the guides, I said to the guides, are we really sticking with this 9 dimensional model? Can we not go into a more evolved? They were like, no, for the purposes of this book and the people reading this book, the 9 dimensional model still works perfectly. So the concept that there was this iron crystal, in fact, it's a conglomerate iron nickel crystal in the center of the earth, and that the center of the earth was not like molten magma or lava, and that it was a conscious being in and of itself that had a particular purpose in terms of the Earth as a planet and her evolution, and even the whole idea of the name of Gaia being like the higher self-consciousness of the Earth planet. And so now the core crystal having her own consciousness, and the effect that the core crystal has on human beings and all life in the 3rd dimension was just huge for me, because I was someone who was not connected with the earth. And I mean something deeper than saying I was ungrounded. Yes, I was ungrounded, but beyond that, a lot of people say, oh, I've always felt that I don't belong on Earth and I want to go back to the stars. I've never felt that way. But there was a fundamental way in which I wasn't connected to anywhere that I was. Not the 28 years where I lived in South Africa, where I was born, not the 25 years where I lived in London. Not when I lived in Ibiza, not now when I live in Portugal. It's always been extremely difficult for me to do what the Pleiadians call in the Pleiadian agenda, make home. So this was the next concept of making home. And when I read in that book from the Pleiadians that if you can't love the place where you are living on Earth, then there is some fundamental way in which your awakening and your expansion of consciousness and your evolution is thwarted. There is a certain degree where you can't make a full up and down connection with all that is above and all that is below, without connecting into Gaia and into the core crystal. And this was huge for me. You know, I read this material with a massive frown on my face. I made notes, I underlined things in the book. I really did my best to try and get my head around it. And the Pleiadians suggested a way of making home by my first meditation that I put on YouTube that related to making home was called Meditation of the Sacred Seven Directions. And so it was about north, south, east, and west. You're in the middle of the medicine wheel, then above, below, and the final direction in your heart. And this is the way that not only the Pleiadians, but Barbara herself, who had a part Cherokee background and was therefore brought up with this intimate connection, as with all Native Americans have and all of the original tribes have, this innate understanding that without a connection to Gaia, our Mother Earth, without that honoring and reverence and actual connection, like physical connection, emotional connection, mental or intellectual connection, spiritual connection on all levels. Without that, we don't really go anywhere. And this concept of the 9 dimensions, where it was really stressed that rather than thinking about ourselves in the universe, like this little planet that belonged to the solar system that was floating around in the universe, but rather focusing on our galaxy. You know, the Pleiadians said, you're in this galaxy, what you call the Milky Way galaxy, which in the Rainbow Bridge they call Nataru. You're in this galaxy and you are able to connect to all of the dimensions in this galaxy. So for the moment, don't think beyond the galaxy, even though obviously you can connect beyond our galaxy. But they were saying that your heart was the center, you were at the center, and from a geodesic point of view, where you are, geocentric point of view, where you are the center, the highest dimension, the highest frequency that you can connect with is the great central sun, that black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which is also portrayed as a sun. It is a portal, in fact. That's how we go beyond our galaxies, through the portal of the great central sun. That's the highest place you can connect to. And then the first reference point is the core crystal, which is the first dimension. So those basic concepts, when I started channeling myself, and much more particularly when I started channeling the Pleiadians, which was a journey in and of itself. You know, when I connected with the Pleiadians in the Pleiadian agenda, it was Satya, this Pleiadian goddess who was being channeled in some parts, that I really connect with, and I am still connected with. That Satya frequency that streams from Alcyone, which is like the sun star, the central sun star of the Pleiadian system. She had just a life-changing effect on me. And that connection, I will just finish by saying thank you so much to Barbara, because, you know, without the Pleiadians, I would have literally been lost on my path.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. So let's get on to 3A Atlas. 3I Atlas. So this concept, Solara, of a visitor from outside of our solar system coming into our domain, what do you feel is the spiritual significance of that, and how might 3i Atlas play a role in the awakening process of
3i Atlas
humanity?
3i Atlas is already playing its role because it's getting more and more people. I'd be interested in the percentage of people on Earth that are paying attention to 3i Atlas at the moment. But what's happening is it's becoming unavoidable to pay attention. So we know that it's come from outside of our solar system. And it's only the third one. It's not the third one that has come from outside, it's the third one that's been noticed, let's say.
Yeah.
And my guides say that there have been far more and there will be far more. But this one seems like a really big deal because nobody, even though NASA just went completely silent at the point where 3i Atlas came the closest to Mars, where we could have got really good footage. There's so many other, even private individuals that have equipment that can pick up stuff now that you literally can't hide something like that from the world, especially not with the internet. And so the scientists are proving quite conclusively this cannot be a comet, this cannot be a natural phenomenon. Therefore, it must be conscious or being controlled by conscious people because it is accelerating at will, it's choosing a very particular path. Comets tend to come in from above and exit from below, etc. And here it is choosing to be in this flat elliptic of our solar system and consciously move past Mars, the Sun, Venus, and it's going to be Earth on the 19th of December. So you can't avoid knowing that it's there and paying attention. Once you become aware of it, you are going to keep on paying attention to it. And the overall message, in a very simplified way, is this is either a life form in and of itself, or much more likely, a conscious lightship or spacecraft that belongs to a civilization from another place outside of our solar system. So this is the primary thing, is like, is there life, conscious life outside? Yes, there is. Here it is. And is it dangerous? No. Is it here to cause harm? No. Is it here to observe? Yes. But it would be easier if I channel about that, to be honest, Sarah,
Yeah, I
because
mean, it's so
I'm not
interesting,
very
isn't it? Because
scientific.
we're really standing on the threshold of disclosure and first contact, and all that means to our world and our view of the world. So it would be wonderful if you could channel about this as well. I'd just like to ask you one more question as well, because obviously you're someone that's really experienced with connecting with higher dimensions. And I just wondered if you have any tips on how we can consciously connect with 3i Atlas.
Yeah, I do. And in fact, I've channeled a meditation which I wanted to put on YouTube yesterday, but I haven't finished editing it. And interestingly, considering the beginning of the conversation, what the guides are saying is that the very easiest way to feel it is by connecting in with the core crystal. Because the core crystal is, I don't know whether I would say in communication with it, or that the 3i Atlas is in energetic communication with the core crystal. There's no doubt about that. It's something that I can even feel when I'm channeling it. So I would say to watch out for the meditation that will be up probably tomorrow on my YouTube, because the guides are giving a particular process. And in fact, the process involves steps that a lot of my other guided meditations include, which one of the most important ones is prana tube activation. So plugging into the great central sun, plugging into the core crystal, but they give it in a very nice way where they keep on reminding you and going back to the prana tube. So I believe that some people, even if they've done meditations of mine where you activate your prana tube, I think they might start to actually feel it and understand it on a more powerful
Amazing.
level. Because
Wonderful.
that plugging in, which once again is plugging into the first dimension and the ninth dimension, that only happens effectively from the awakened heart. And the awakened heart is the Christed heart. It is beyond the personal heart chakra. Personal heart chakra is the place from which we are giving and receiving love. It's activated in all of our personal and particularly our close personal relationships. But the Christed heart is beyond that. It is the heart chakra of our higher selves. And you can't really plug in on a fifth dimensional level and activate your fifth dimensional self in order to be able to connect with Three Eye Atlas and in order to be able to embody your higher self, you could say, and awaken your higher mind. Those are
That's
what I've
very
been teaching.
interesting.
Yeah.
So in a way, this three eye atlas passing through in this way is having a stronger impact on awakeners, would you say?
It's having a very strong energetic impact, but it is a bit like with the timeline shifting, that you won't necessarily receive the positive energetic influence if you don't choose to consciously connect with it from the awakened heart. And obviously, one of the things that the awakened heart does is it completely takes you out of fear. So people on their spiritual awakening path might feel and see and believe that Three Eye Atlas is positive and bringing a positive message, bringing a positive energetic transformation or activation, but they might still be scared. So it's just natural that there may be fear around it because it's quite a big deal. But when you go into your awakened heart, there is not that duality because it takes you out of the fear versus love scenario that we live in every single minute, every single day. It takes you into the higher mind and fifth dimensional consciousness, which is based in love.
Well, it's interesting because potentially there's a huge opportunity for healing because we may have imprints from past lives around, other things coming in from other solar systems that have been kind of catastrophic, so it's potentially creating a healing space for this as well.
Well, healing comes in many forms, and one of the forms that it comes in is activation, because when you are energetically activated into a higher frequency, certain things that don't belong there anymore leave, like cords
Amazing.
and contracts.
Yes.
So, and when those leave, your whole energy field moves into a new level of coherence. It might already be in quite a good level of coherence, and then you move into a higher level of coherence where your higher mind realizes and accepts more. And that is what healing is. But it'll be interesting to add this to a question to the guides right
I've
now,
got
by
some
the way.
questions about activation. So
Yeah.
should we go in and connect in with the guides, and I'll ask
Yeah.
some questions and we'll see what comes
Yes.
through today.
Great. So the subject
Beautiful.
is 3i Atlas, but as I'm channeling, you can ask questions. So I'm just going to connect in for the channeling. Go ahead.
So welcome and thank you so much for coming to speak with us all today. I have just been speaking with Solara about 3i Atlas, and we were very interested in the activating of our gifts during this time. How do you see this activation process unfolding, and how is 3i Atlas supporting this process?
We are the Pleiadian Councils of Light, and we love your questions. We love your intentions for the highest good of all on your planet and everywhere. Because, of course, your planet is going through a transformation that is being observed by so many in so many dimensions. What is occurring right now in terms of 3i Atlas is extremely beneficial, and this is our first message, is that there is nothing to fear. When we ask you over and over again to embrace change, this is just so one of the instances in which, if you joyfully affirm or exclaim, "I embrace change," and using any other affirmations that suit you in the moment, such as, "I remember why I am here. I choose to be of the greatest service possible to Gaia and Light Tribe," reminding yourselves consciously and subconsciously of these intentions of yours will assist you greatly and take you out of fear. Now, you ask, dear one, about activation and whether we are being activated, or rather you are being activated by 3i Atlas. You are, but the level of activation is different according to your frequency and your intentions. So, in those moments where you rest in the moment in your open heart and you ground yourselves lovingly into Gaia and into her core crystal, in these moments, as you stretch your consciousness open wider and truly allow yourself to connect telepathically and energetically with 3i Atlas, you will receive a frequency activation. And it comes in the form of light codes, a kind of hieroglyphic light code transmission. You feel that in your physical body as a sparkling, a twinkling, an opening, because it comes into your DNA. and you receive it telepathically as a humming kind of reassurance, like a mother humming lovingly to a child in order to put him or her asleep in a sense of comfort. And so there is activation that feels fizzing, but it is not unpleasant if you are fully grounded and connected in with your planet.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. What would you say the higher purpose of 3i Atlas is, and what impact do you believe that she will have on our collective consciousness or the New Earth timeline?
It is not so much about the future, dear one, but about the present moment. It is happening right now. Humanity is receiving the message, we are here, we are benevolent, we are intelligent. This is the message that humanity is receiving right now. And ever since the entry into your solar system, the astrology of this time is being amplified. And so you already know that the alignments of your planets within your star system affect you on a mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual level. And so we say the potent astrology of this exact time period has been chosen consciously for the passage of this conscious being. Indeed, 3i Atlas is a light ship. It is not exclusively Pleiadian, for there are many star races, and indeed many from the Galactic Federation who play a part now and who have planned this from a very long time ago as the exact moment of awakening that is happening right now. From the moment of entrance of 3i Atlas into your solar system until the moment of exit from your solar system, you are being triggered by many different forces within the solar system, many different alignments, and you are being triggered by your sun star and the immense solar flares and solar winds that are happening in this moment. And you are being triggered by your passageway of the entire solar system through the photon band. For you are no longer in the Kali Yuga, you are in the age of awakening. And you are awakening as a collective. Never doubt this. We wish you to perceive your awakening as joyful. We wish you to take joy in your awakening. The more light and the more joyful is your spiritual path, the more accelerated and pleasant you will experience it.
Thank you so much. What I know that you've mentioned the connecting with the core crystal of the earth as a way of us connecting in with 3i Atlas. I just wondered whether there are any other practical steps or meditative practices that we can take to use this cosmic moment as a portal for deeper connection with our star families.
Okay. I hear a different group coming to answer that question. We are the Syrian Council from the Scientific Council of Awakened Syrians. We come to help you connect energetically with your core crystal right now in order for you to experience that which we will explain. And so we ask you to start from your awakened hearts, tapping your hearts gently, affirming my heart is my center, and truly allowing the light codes of your awakened hearts to fill your bodies and beings and consciousness. And from your heart, send a grounding cord through your prana tube down, through the solar plexus, belly, and root chakras, and down through the Earth Star portal chakra at the bottom of your auric fields. And then down lovingly with great love, honor, respect, and gratitude through the second dimension, the inner earth of your planet, and into the first dimension, the core crystal of Gaia. And as you do this with love, such great honor and love from your awakened heart, you will start to hear or feel the humming intelligence of this beautiful being. And if you allow yourself from that place of connection with the humming, intelligent force of your core crystal, to connect from your awakened heart upwards into your solar system and into the conscious being known as 3I Atlas. Become aware of her, his light, or there is not a gender, but there is an extremely high consciousness and intelligence. The light ship itself has consciousness, and you may ask to experience this visually in your inner vision. Ask to experience the light and color and energy signature of this conscious visitor. And then, if you like, from your awakened heart, while still plugged into the core crystal, you may ask for a message, for a telepathic communication, which may be felt, it may be seen as light codes, it may be spoken or written down if you are able to channel it, or it may simply be received in your brain matter without the need of translation. A message of greeting, a message of activation, of dormant DNA, an opening of your consciousness within your brain, within your synapses, that allows rewiring and connects you to your original divine blueprint, which is the intelligence of God, Goddess itself. And so our message is that the core crystal is in direct energetic communication with 3i Atlas. And what is needed for you as a human being to connect is to do this from the awakened heart that dissolves all fear and opens you up to the new, that which our Pleiadian sisters call your sacred path of light and purpose, the reason you are here right now. We hope we have assisted. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Solara, for bringing that through. Thank you also to the Syrians and the Pleiadians, that incredible wisdom.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. The Syrians come in when the guidance has to do with sacred geometry, and they were showing me so much stuff in terms of the geometry of the core crystal. And although the energy from the core crystal is obviously emanating through the body of Gaia, the second dimension, there is a different level in which you can connect directly to the core crystal, a dimension in and of itself, an intelligence in and of itself. And the core crystal, of course, this is the meditation that's going up soon. The core crystal of Gaia in its etheric counterpart contains the Akashic records for Gaia and all of the people on Gaia. So there is so much to be said for connecting consciously from your awakened heart with that. And of course, now they're relating it directly to how to connect with 3i Atlas. So thank you to the Syrians and the Pleiadians. I am eternally grateful.
That feels like a bit of a game changer, to really enable us to navigate all these new energies that are coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Solara. And it's always just such a pleasure to have you on, and just so much wisdom and insight. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
And thank you everyone for listening in. Many blessings. Bye for now.